Hello everyone, I'm going to do a review on all of the classes. There are currently 1, 3, 6, 9, 12, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 15 classes to choose from. Yeah, I'm doing this unscripted. This is from the bottom of my heart, and the bottom of my heart says we're going to start with the beginner classes because the beginner classes are going to, explain what the meta is. So what I have currently is the Sword Master. Now the beauty of the Sword Master is, it's very basic. This is your attack right now, but as soon as you start hitting an enemy, it starts going crazy. So that's your primary attack. One skill is throwing a shockwave. That deals good damage. It does 3 times your normal attack. And then this is your charge. So far, this is showing very promising, combat. Shockwave and then get in for close combat. That's pretty cool. This is Defender. It's a slower class, but it gets the job done, per se. It doesn't have the same amount of range, it doesn't have the same speed. Definitely does not have the same speed. It's much slower to control. Much slower. Now, at first, you're not going to understand what the point of this is, because Sword Master is just better in every way, but the reality is, this is preparing you for other classes. But the meta is not necessarily Arcane Mage. It's not Arcane Mage. But the meta is range. Definitely range. Because I can do this from practically any range. And I'm just going to let you guys know, I was holding back the entire time. I was doing this. And it instantly turns around. So which means no matter what direction I'm going in, I'm always going to hit my target. Always. It does not matter. I could be doing anything. As long as I'm holding this button down, I'm always going to be hitting my target. And this is when we encounter the first problem of the game. Because what is this person doing right here? They're using a range class and just sitting there. And no matter where the enemy is, as long as they're holding down this button, they are always going to hit their target. It does not matter. And this is where we encounter the first problem of the game. This game is centered entirely around ranged classes. There's no other class that can work. Like Dual Wielder right here, I heard this does a really high DPS. This is basically Swordsman. Swordsman had this. Yeah, see, it's getting faster and faster. But there's a buff that doubles your crit rate and whatnot. I can see that. That's some good damage right there. Some good damage. And that, I'm pretty sure if those landed all crits, those would be pretty spectacular. And this class actually comes with more skills and an ultimate. So this right here, 100k, boom. That will also do 100k if those all landed crits. These are all pretty solid game plans. Buff up, then use your skills. Boom, boom, then finish it off with some attacks. And then some sword play. That's the ultimate right there. You got to charge that. But the class has a very simple premise: buff, boom, bam, and then just go crazy. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to think about anything else with this class. Guardian, it's a little more complicated because it's slower. It's slower. However, this right here gives you all the damage reduction in the world. It also gives you all the aggro in the world. But it's worth it because you just did 100,000 damage off of that one move. But you know what? It gets better. Could you count that? That was 200,000 with no crits. So here's good attack, and here's better attack. Now remember, these are no crits, so that's why this class is slow. But it also has a 70% damage reduction on this right here. So this is a pretty solid class, and you have a dodge feature right here. So there's a lot of good stuff you can do with this. Not that, of course, because you still have to let it go off. There you go. Oh, did I mention that was a ranged attack? Yeah, Guardian is, like, really good. Really good. But when we go to Elementalist right here, none of that matters, because as long as I can do this, nothing matters. I don't even really know what the Elementalist does. No, it does that. Okay. Okay, it does that. Alright, that's cool. Oh, I'm being invited to a guild right now. Cool, sure, I'll join, whatever. But, yeah, nobody actually plays Elementalist for the skills. As you can see, the skills are very mediocre and does very little. But as long as I'm able to do this, nothing matters. As long as I'm able to do this, nothing matters. Because remember, long range. Long range beats everything. This is probably the weakest performing, range class, but it's a range class, so what are you going to do about it? Next, we're going to go on to Paladin. This one has a very simple palette. Apprentice. This is your block button. It's cool. When you block something good happens. This is your heal. And this is your ranged attack. And what this does is it empowers your basic attack. You know, it's pretty straightforward. Block attacks, heal yourself, and whip them up with this. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, it's got pretty good range, so I would imagine if you like auto attacks, you don't really have to think much with that class. This is Berserker right here. Boom, boom. Pretty good damage right there. At least a pretty juicy crit. Are you noticing a trend with these attacks? It's a pretty noticeable trend. You know, they all leave you very vulnerable, and you're basically in front of the enemy, always taking damage. But then when you get to this class basically changes everything. This is the Mage of Light. Interesting. There's no sound cue for when you land an attack. It's almost as if this class is unfinished. But you know, there's a reason this class is unfinished. Check this out right here. Boom, look at all that. Look at that. Can you count that? Can you count that? I don't think you can. Have you any idea how much I'm doing? I don't. But you know what? That's not all. I can also heal. And I can also give myself a barrier. While actively doing this. Now, just curious, does anyone remember how much damage the other classes were doing? And I'm just sitting here doing this. Does anyone remember how much damage the other classes were doing? And I'm just sitting there doing this. Yeah, this is probably the best class in the game. However, we can't stop there. Dragoon is the class I use personally. And I just want you guys to know that these are all using gears that are automatically given to you once you switch to them. This is Dragoon. Their combo is simple. Thrust does a lot of damage, very inconsistent. That's your dragon, that's basically your ranged attack. It's not necessarily ranged, but it's the most range you're getting. It's very precise hitbox. This is probably the most technical class in the game because it's everything you do is practically a skill shot. You just have to understand this class to master it. But when you land a crit there, that unlocks Dragon Chain, which allows me to get this buff once I go through all of my skills, which increases my damage, increases my movement speed, and I'm pretty sure it increases my crit rate. But it's a pretty simple premise. Do this, get a crit off, do. And then, boom, I get a buff. Now I'm going around crazy. Now I get to do the same thing again with more damage. Pretty simple premise. The reason I'm not going into depth with each and every class is because everything's pretty straightforward. There's like no real way to play any of these. And for most of these, it's my first time actually taking a look at them. This is Reaper, and I believe what that does is you now heal off of hurting them. This is just a ranged attack. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's always good. And I believe this just increases your damage. Yeah, that increases your damage. Yeah, that was 100k right there. That was like 40. And then boom, boom. Yeah, it's pretty basic. I think this class is primarily around lifesteal. This is Spirit Archer. This is basically the only archer in the game. And of course, it's a ranged class, so... However, I think this one has something different about it. Boom. That reduces people's defense. You can see that as a debuff. That's a Spirit Bomb. It slows everyone around it. It's a Taking Cotton Bomb. Boom. 50k damage. Cool. You know, that's pretty cool. That does some good damage. It's decent. That's what this person over here is using to grind. And again, I'm not doing anything but holding down the button, and I'm always landing my marks. I'm not doing anything different. I'm just landing my shots. Now, the reason I'm actually going into more depth with this class, because you actually don't just do this. There's a lot more that goes into this class, I believe, because there's like a whole gimmick that I have to show. And it involves the ultimate, because the ultimate is actually different from every other class. But yeah, all I'm doing is just jumping around and moving around. Okay, Spirit Arrows. Interesting. So I think that goes up to 5, and every time you use a Spirit Arrow, every time you click that button, you get Spirit Arrows, and they just fly everywhere, man. But notice nothing is getting close to Mage of Light damage. Now we're going to go down to Warlord. We're going to go down to Warlord, and this class's premise is pretty simple. Drop your shield. And just go crazy, because that's actually a damage increase. It actually gives you a damage increase, or makes the enemy take more damage. It's pretty solid. It's got good range. It's got good range to it. This is your thing right here. It's pretty simple. You leave yourself exposed the whole time. This is a block, and when people hit that, basically same premise as Paladin. There's not really much to say here. There's not much to talk about with these classes at all, because they're pretty straightforward in what they want you to do. This is Summoner. Now, this class right here is probably the only one that can contend with Mage of Light, but this is all you can really do until... This is basically all you can really do right now. This is it. This is it. I believe this class has the furthest range. And the reason this is all you can do right now, it's because what we're doing right now is we have to charge this right here. Because when we charge this, and then we make them attack things, we can make them explode like this. See that? You saw that? That was at least 400k damage right there. But you saw everything we had to do to get up to that. And we can have up to 5 minions at a time, which means we're doing 1 million damage off of that. And then, of course, there's this too. This is probably the easy way to farm. This is probably the easiest way to farm souls. Yeah, so just keep doing that. That's the easiest way to farm souls right there. And we just keep doing that. The ball can miss, I guess. We're gonna show it off fully, so you understand what we're doing here. Alright, so now we have the max amount. This is the game plan. Have enough for this, and make them all explode so you do 1,000,000 damage. Then here's the ultimate right here. This guy just never dies. Well, he does die technically, but you won't self-destruct him. Now, are you guys noticing that nothing is actually comparing to Mage of Light so far? And we only have one more class left. This is the Shadow Blade. This is the newest class. You know, pretty simple premise. It does that, which does 37k. It does this, which I guess does decent damage. But really, it's all about this, which you go invisible and whatnot, and boom. It always does a critical hit, so now it does 90k damage. Now it does 90k damage. This does 100k, technically, because that second part was a crit. And that's pretty much it with this class. That's it. That's the premise. It's just to go invisible. Use this, because that's the strongest attack. And then just keep doing that. You know, it's kind of interesting that the attacks that don't have crits on them are fixed, but the criticals are actually randomized for damage. I think that's very interesting. Now, what I wanted you to notice with all of these classes is there is a very clear pattern here. Melee classes are always in the range of taking damage, and ranged classes are not. Now, that's obvious and all, sure. But how did you notice a damage difference at all with the melee and ranged classes? Like, the whole point I'm getting at is ranged classes are broken right now, and the most broken one is Mage of Light. Like, you remember when we were going through every single class and, you know, we were working up to get 100k? You know, Shadow Blade, the latest class, we just did 100k with that. Or we were labbing to see how we could do 100k with that. And then with this, all I had to do was just press this button right here and do this. Do it twice. Boom. I just beat Shadow Blade's damage in 2 seconds. In 2 hits, I just did everything Shadow Blade wanted to. On top of that, I can heal and give myself a barrier. See that? That's not okay. That's not okay. It's not okay. That's not okay. But I mostly wanted to review these classes because, well, quite frankly, there is a very exploitatious imbalance right now that's affecting Arena. And that's important because the only reason people do Arena is to do the weekly, because trying to do it for fun is impossible unless you're playing Mage of Light. And I think it's important to discuss this topic because, you know, as a competitive player who enjoys PvP, to see it ruined like this because of a singular class or design strategy that basically breaks the game and defeats the purpose of PvP in the first place, you know, it breaks my heart. Because there's literally nothing you can do about this. Look, they're tracking. Every single one of these are tracking. And, you know, that's still decent damage, even without the attack buff. What I'm trying to figure out is why this move hits twice. I think that's the biggest problem, is that this move hits twice. Why does it hit twice? It's a single explosive, but why does it hit twice? I really want this class to be looked into. Because, honestly, the other classes are not that bad, but this is a serious problem. Especially since I can do this and this. Please look into this game, developers. I'm trying to be a YouTuber for this game, but I'm not doing anything else if this is how your classes play. It's this one in particular. I'll talk about the others in a later video. Right now, I just have to do this unscripted and from the bottom of my heart that whoever was responsible for balancing these classes, please take a break from game design. You really didn't think this through, and you should not be in the position you are in to be making these decisions right about now, because this is a travesty. This is killing your game, whether you believe it or not. This singular class right here, like if we go to Arena right now, I promise you there's going to be a Mage of Light in there, and nobody's going to want to be in there. Like, I'm going to switch to a Dragoon. I'm gonna take out, you know, just to show you guys I'm not just some random deadbeat that's just talking to talk. I maxed out this game in like less than a week. I'm going to take out my spear. This is not the strongest spear in the game, but I got the highest rarity, and it's basically almost max level. You know, I worked my butt off to get this stuff in less than a week. And we're going to go to Arena right now, and we're going to see who's dominating the arena. Let's just see. Yeah, this game's full of bugs. Get used to them. Who's in Arena right now? Is there going to be a ring in there? I am curious if there's going to be a ring in there. Up. Here we go. The Mage of Light. Right there. Yep. I can't even see their attacks. Nothing you can do about it. This person is level 150. Yep, I can't dodge. I can't dodge. I can't do anything. I can actually take this person in a fight. But that's basically the only time. That's basically the only time you could beat a Mage of Light, is if they're just objectively weaker than you. Like right now, I'm going to do my usual combo here. See, I could definitely take them in a fight. However, because they can heal everything back and pressure me for free, because they're not aiming at me. My class takes actual skill to use because I have to actually aim my attacks. This person doesn't have to do any of that. They're just healing back everything I do to them, and boom, I'm dead. Nothing I can do about it. So that's why this needs to be looked into, because, you know, the real legitimate thing to do would be to remove auto-tracking on projectiles and make it so that they aim at the target, but do not follow them. Because that's the biggest problem. They follow the target. And how is anyone supposed to function like that? Why would you play any other class that takes skill to use, but you can just use the one where you hold down the button and you win? So yeah, that's my opinion. Your classes suck. Fix them.